the stewards looking at an incident with George Russell and Esteban Ocon. I wonder if this is it. There's Ocon right in the way and right on the racing line and not on a flying lap, and George Russell was at the time, and that very much looked like a blocking.
Ocon just massively got in my way. Maybe that was mega dangerous.
Bang on the brakes, down the gears, direction change, patient with the throttle, squeeze it like you got an egg underneath it, you don't want to brake, into the pit straight, and Russell then up to 8th. Good lap.
So track evolution, rubbering in all the time. These times are going to hopefully start to get a bit faster, and this could get quite competitive as Russell goes 8th and Danny Kvyat goes 9th. Russell ahead of the Alpha Tauri there. He didn't have a good last sector. Lando Norris only 11th at the moment, needs to jump up. Latifi is out in the Williams, only 16th. Lance Stroll at risk and on the track, setting personal best sectors as Norris makes up for that pressure by going 4th in the McLaren. And now his teammate Carlos Sainz not looking very steady coming out of the Vale chicane and through Club, but he is into the top 10. Sebastian Vettel is on the cusp as Pierre Gasly goes 4th fastest now. We look to see Alex Albon jump all the way from P16 to P3, putting Sebastian Vettel very much at risk as he tries to get out of the danger zone. Only 11th fastest. That might well be enough though for Sebastian Vettel as Magnussen stays in the bottom 5 and his teammate Romain Grosjean does go into the safety places, putting now Esteban Ocon at risk.
Kvyat's time was deleted. He's back down in 14th place because he ran wide.
So Kvyat is going to be sweating a bit towards the end of this, especially as Lance Stroll now goes 16th fastest, and Ocon can do something to get himself out of the bottom 5, and that track limits deletion for Danny Kvyat might well cost him a chance of getting into Q2. Bottas goes fastest overall, 8/100ths between himself and Lewis Hamilton. Esteban Ocon gets out of Q1. George Russell will also get out of Q1. Danny Kvyat, for exceeding track limits, has a lap time deleted, and that proves very costly. Going into the Vale chicane, he was P8. Lando Norris comes out of Club now, and we'll look to see where that lap's put him. P7. So it's improvement, but not by a huge amount, as Hülkenberg goes 2nd fastest, pushes Gasly out of the top 10. Gasly then goes 4th fastest, pushes Esteban Ocon out of the top 10. Ocon now crosses the line and stays in that bottom 5. Ocon can't get through to Q3, much to the relief of Alex Albon, who's the driver at risk at the moment, as Grosjean only 12th fastest. Carlos Sainz can't get into Q3. Norris is in, Sainz is out, and it's 4-1 in Norris's favour in the McLaren head-to-head. Lewis Hamilton backs off at the end of his lap as Alex Albon goes 6th fastest and pushes Lando Norris down into 10th. Now Lance Stroll next to cross the line. Valtteri Bottas has backed off. Sebastian Vettel still setting personal best. Can he put Lando Norris out of the top 10 as Stroll goes 7th fastest? We're on board now with Sebastian Vettel. Twice he's been on pole here at Silverstone this year. It's only P12 in the Ferrari.
Yeah, a few surprises in there then. Vettel and Sainz in particular, I would say. So another disappointing day for Sebastian. What's happening? What's happening with his car?
And Norris with a 1:27.2 sets the first time then. The two Mercedes drivers matched each other by a few hundredths of a second through the middle sector. Hamilton with a 1:25.2 goes on to provisional pole. Pierre Gasly slots in behind him in the Alpha Tauri. Then Daniel Ricciardo goes 2nd fastest, a second back. Now Valtteri Bottas crosses the line. He's a 10th off Lewis Hamilton. It's Hamilton on provisional pole after these first flying laps. Nico Hülkenberg was 2nd fastest at the end of Q2. He's 4th fastest at the moment, just behind Daniel Ricciardo. Max Verstappen on the medium tyre, only 5th fastest. Will Red Bull swap to the softs for his final run? Alex Albon goes 6th fastest behind his teammate, also on the mediums. What can Charles Leclerc do now for Ferrari? The only Ferrari left in this qualifying, and he's only 7th, with Lance Stroll to cross the line. And the last of the 10 runners to cross the line slots into 8th fastest ahead of Gasly and Norris. It's Mercedes out by a long way, a second clear of the rest, and a 10th between Hamilton and Bottas.
Bottas and Hamilton's first sector time equal to 3 decimal points.
And onwards we go then with Lewis Hamilton through.
This is going to be close, Crofty. This is going to be so close.
It is. It's one little dip into the dirt, one little piece of inspiration, maybe out of Chapel or Maggots, Beckett and Hamilton within 3/100ths of the time he needs to go further ahead. Out on provisional pole, Valtteri Bottas has gone quicker through the middle sector than his teammate, but it's not tenths of a second, it's hundredths of a second between the two Mercedes drivers. The horseshoe emblem in tribute to Sir Sterling Moss run on the Mercedes this weekend. He'd love to see this, I'm sure, as Hamilton goes further ahead in provisional pole. But can Valtteri Bottas nick pole off him? He can! By 6/100ths of a second, Valtteri Bottas takes pole for the 70th Anniversary Grand Prix. Daniel Ricciardo in third place. He'll be looking over his shoulder to see who can come at him now. Norris goes 7th, Gasly only 10th, and Leclerc down in 9th at the moment. We wait to see him cross the line. Max Verstappen out on the track at 27.4, very handy indeed for the first sector from him in the Red Bull. Leclerc crosses the line, it's 7th fastest.
Gasly was up to 6th, yes. As we see Hulkenberg cross the line, goes P3.
Wow, that's his best then. Since Austria in 2016, Stroll goes 5th fastest, and that's the potential racing point. Think that they've got. Albon only 9th fastest for him. Can Max Verstappen get his car onto the second row? He can, and he splits Nico Hulkenberg and Daniel Ricciardo with a fine effort right at the end. But out in front, 6/100ths separating Bottas and Hamilton over 3.6 miles. It's that close.
I like the look of that grid. That's an interesting grid. And what a story from Hulkenberg.